Hey everybody, how is it going today? Well, in this video, I'm going to be going over a company called Advanced Micro Devices, ticker symbol AMD. I think that they are going to be breaking out of this consolidation that they're in, so we're going to go over their chart, and then I'm going to go over a few charts of companies that I have on my watch list that I think could be breaking out soon as well. So make sure you stick around for those charts. If you're new to the channel, I like to find short-term and long-term trading and investing opportunities in typically lower-priced stocks. I like to find undervalued, underappreciated stocks with high growth potential and talk about all other things finance-related as well. If that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss any future trading or investing ideas. And remember, I am not a financial advisor, so please do all of your own research before buying any of these stocks. Alright guys, let's get right into the charts. This is the current daily chart of Advanced Micro Devices, symbol AMD, and this one is on my watch list, and I think it could be starting to form a nice rounding bottom. It's a little early to tell, but you want to start watching them when they are in the midst of it. Right now it's in a nice consolidation after this move up, so this is a very bullish sign. This is usually a continuation sign, especially if it starts to break out. That's a very, very bullish pattern. Let me get this out of here real quick and let's go intraday. This is the hourly chart. Excuse me. And we can see that these lows are starting to rise. I am thinking that unless we get a huge down day in the market, this low is probably going to hold above this previous one. And if it starts to move higher after that and starts to put pressure on this previous resistance area, I think it has a great chance of breaking out and heading into new highs, probably pushing over $100. But it's a little too early to jump into this stock just yet. Like I said, I want it to hold this previous low and then prove that it's going to move higher by holding this low and then putting pressure on this upper resistance area. Let me get this stuff out of here real quick. But if we go back in time just a little bit, we can see that it made a nice rounding bottom a few weeks ago. And this is exactly what I like to look for in my short-term trades before I catch these trends. You like to see these trends start weakening out, and then once they start to rise, once these lows start rising, and it breaks above a previous resistance area and starts to hold that 8-period exponential moving average, or if it comes down and touches that resistance area and then pops back above it, that usually means there's a very good chance this trend is going to resume higher. You never know how high it's going to go, but this would have probably been a decent entry around 78. And if you were nimble, you could have got out in the upper 80s. But you never know how high those are going to go. But that was a decent move to be watching. And actually, if we go back in time just a little bit further, we can see that AMD did that on the last move up as well. And when you get a false break, so you can see that this resistance area was broken just by a little bit and it popped right back above it, and then the lows started rising. When there is a false break before one of these moves and it pops right back into the consolidation and the lows start rising, that makes me feel even more confident that you're going to get a move higher. And as that trend started to take off, you probably could have bought right around here after it retested it, but then it blasted off and rose. Come on. Sorry, computer is froze. This thing is driving me bananas. The speakers don't work. Come on, jeez. It's just freezing like crazy. This is a brand new computer. Anyway, as you can see, once it broke above that resistance area, it was off to the races, up over 30%. So I don't know if AMD is going to rise another 30%, but it looks like it is making a very similar pattern. And I would love to see this rounding bottom start putting pressure on this resistance area and get a blast through it. I am going to keep this on my watch list, and I want to participate in this one for sure. Let me get this stuff out of here real quick. Maybe my computer will work. Let me go back to the stock that I did a video on yesterday. I actually sold out this morning. It's still holding above that 8-period exponential moving average on the hourly chart, but I couldn't resist. I sold early in the day at $6.98. When a stock starts blasting off like that, I can't look a gift horse in the mouth. I got to take my profit if I get a big profit that quick, because chances are you're going to get a pullback. It is pulling back right now, but I wouldn't say that the move is over necessarily. I haven't re-entered the stock. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not because the stock is extended. So I might wait to get back into it if it pulls back down to this 8-period exponential moving average. I would have to see how the stock acts once it pulls back. But when I get these big moves like this, like I said, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. You get these huge moves in 2 or 3 days. I usually take profit because chances are it's probably going to pull back. Now, if this thing explodes over 10, of course, I'm going to feel like a knucklehead. But as a rule, if you get those huge moves, that's when you want to be ringing the register, at least on part of it. I sold out all of it, so I am officially out of solo. But I did check out another EV stock that looks like it could be making. Oh man, it's already starting to blast off. I was watching this earlier today, and I was looking at it on the hourly chart. Yeah, it is already starting to take off. But we are getting these higher lows, and knew I should have bought it when I first seen it. But I had a lot of stuff going on this morning. But we are getting these higher lows, and it's starting to move up, and it is strong. It didn't even come down and touch this resistance level. It has started to move higher. I might have to get in after I get done with this video, maybe. But it is already starting to put pressure on this upper resistance area, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if it blasts through it. Of course, it wouldn't surprise me if it does one of these numbers over here, touches it, pulls back, and then starts to resume higher. I think if it does get a pullback and a blast through, it's not going to result in a retracement like it did off of this high. I think it's going to make higher highs. But I wanted to show you this one that's on my watch list. I probably should have bought into it already, but this one is looking very bullish. The same pattern in these EV stocks. This is basically, I don't know if you've ever heard of Arcimoto. Ticker symbol FUV, but it is very similar. They have a very similar product to the Solo product. So if you jump on their website, you can see exactly what they do. But it looks kind of similar. It's an electric vehicle. It's kind of made for that same market as Solo. But I wanted to show you that one and a couple of more before I got out of here. Another one that I am looking at is a lower price stock. Ticker symbol RAVE, RAVE Restaurant Group. And if we look at this one, it is starting to make a rounded bottom as well. Let me go into the hourly chart. If we look at the hourly chart, we are starting to get that rounding bottom. Let me move just a little bit closer so we can eliminate that big day, get a better look. But as we can see, we are getting these big up days accompanied by the volume spikes on the bottom, and that is straight up accumulation. This is somebody trying to grab it and trying to grab it on the down low because they don't follow through the next day. What they're doing is they're playing games, trying to accumulate a lot of shares quickly. But this sucker is starting to make these rounded bottoms with these stocks that are under $1. They're a little bit harder to get a beat on because they can be so volatile just because they're so cheap. And some of these patterns in these stocks that are under $1 tend to get very sloppy. So you got to give these stocks that are usually under $1 a little bit more leeway. They're not going to be picture perfect, beautiful patterns. But this is one I am definitely watching. Let me see if I can make the chart pattern look just a little bit better. And because of this huge update, it's really compressing the rounding bottom. But if you go back into the chart, at this level, we can definitely see it's moving higher. So if this low holds and it starts to move higher, I think it's going to put pressure on this resistance area. And I am going to be very interested in buying RAVE. I'm not buying it yet. I'm still watching it. Still got to prove that it's going to move higher. But let me get this stuff out of here and show you one more. That's still on the hourly. But we can see that this one is starting to make a little bit of a rounding bottom. And if we go to the hourly chart, we can see it a little better. This one is already breaking out. But I am not chasing this breakout. I am hoping that it can pull back to this resistance area. I would love to be a buyer right around 3.25 if it pulls back, and that's really not that far to pull back. It can pull back to that area in the blink of an eye. So this is one I am very interested in. I have not bought it yet, but hopefully it can get a retracement down into this area, and especially if it gets a fast retracement, holds, and pops right above that 8-period exponential moving average, I think it has a great chance of moving out to new highs. And this one has already had a lot of buying lately. And this is kind of like the boring period where people start getting bored holding on to the stock and they start exiting. And then usually once the weak hands exit out, it'll start to move higher. But it looks like AYRO could be doing the same thing. And one more stock that I wanted to show you before I got out of here. This is one that ARK Invest has been accumulating. I haven't even looked into them to what they do, but they've been popping up on that email. If you guys want to know what ARK Invest is buying, you can go right on their website and sign up for their email alerts, and they actually send you an email with all of their buys and sells for the day. So each day you're going to get an email, and it'll let you know which one that they are buying, and ARK is super, super popular right now, so big flows of money are going into what ARK is doing, so you might as well try to participate in the wave. And when they start accumulating something, there's a very good chance it's going to start moving higher, especially I've noticed with their lower price stocks. With some of the higher price stocks that they buy, obviously they're big stocks. It takes a ton of buying in order to move some of those huge stocks that they're in. But when they start accumulating some of these lower price stocks, these stocks that are like under $30 or $20, especially like the penny stocks, man, they really move those when they start getting interested in those stocks. But anyway, this one is RPTX, and if I was already on the hourly chart, but this is what the daily chart looks like right now. It is starting to grind higher. This one's a little sloppy because it has only been publicly traded since June. So usually these IPOs, they're going to be a little bit sloppy in the get-going. But if we go back to that hourly chart, we can see that it is starting to make some nice higher lows. And it's starting to put pressure on this resistance area. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if RPTX blasts through that, especially if ARK Invest starts getting a little bit more aggressive on their buying. But I think that is all I had for you guys today. Oh, let me touch on NEO real quick. When I looked at NEO earlier, it was exploding. Oh man, it's pulled back. Wow, this was at the high when I looked at it earlier, and I wanted to tell you guys that NEO looks like what a chart pattern would look like if greed was smiling back at you, because this thing was just exploding higher, and a pullback was going to be imminent. Man, it's pulling back already. Let me see when it started to do that. Yeah, I see. I haven't looked at the market since like the first hour. Once I got out of solo, I had to leave the house and run a few errands. Man, I guess I should have got short NEO before I split. I'd have been up a ton. Man, wow, it's pulled back from the lower 50s. Right now it's into the lower 40s. So just a huge pullback from the highs. But when you start seeing a move like this, it is time to start thinking about ringing the register, at least on part of your position. I mean, if you want to hold NEO for the long term, and I understand trying to avoid taxes and everything, but if you want to hold a stock for the long term, especially if it's an IRA where you don't have to worry about taxes, but if you want to hold a stock for the long term and you get one of these moves, there is no shame in ringing the register on part of your position and just buying it back. Take these gifts when you get them in the market, because these things don't happen every day. If you happen to be in one of these stocks that explode like that, say thank you to Mr. Market and then look for a better buying opportunity later if you want to buy that stock back. Well, all right, everybody. I think that is all I have for you today. I didn't have enough time to put together one of those informational videos where I go over a stock in depth, but I'll definitely do a few more of those next week. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please like the video if you got something out of it, and leave me a comment if you want me to look at any other stocks that you own or just ones that you're interested in. I have no problem doing that and putting that in my videos. I did get a couple of questions to look at a couple of stocks, and I forgot all about those ones. I had them written down, but I'll try to squeeze them into the next video. But thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.